everyone, Brittany and Chris Carmichael here, bringing you the Elevated Life series where we teach you simple mindset shifts to create radical transformation in your life. It all starts in here, so we've got to start from where it begins so that we can make the most changes in our life. And today's topic is for you people pleasers who don't know how to say no. So today's topic is how to say no. And my favorite quote, I think Oprah said it best, no is a complete sentence, and I just love that philosophy. So in today's video, we're going to dive into ways in which you can say no without being a jerk, and we're going to talk about why it's important to say no to others so that you can continue to follow your dreams, because your vision is different from other people's vision.
Yeah, so the big thing is, why do we always say yes all the time? Why do we find the need? If anyone gives us any kind of like, hey, can you do this? Hey, do you want to do this with me? Hey, does this feel good? We automatically want to say yes. And a lot of this starts off in our childhood. And that's because when our parents said, hey, will you do this? We do it. And then when the school says, hey, I need you to do this, the teacher says, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do that. You just say yes automatically. And so fast forward 15 years later, 20, 30, 40 years later, and now we're just saying yes. And so what you'll notice is that if you don't have your priorities straight, you're going to say yes to everything. Yeah. And so knowing your priorities specifically, and what I mean by priorities is what is either the things that you enjoy doing the most, or what is the most essential things that you need to be doing in your life to sort of push you forward in the things that you're interested in. And if you say yes to everything, you'll notice that you will never get those things done. You'll
have no time for your own dreams and your desires. So typically people that are saying yes to everyone else are people that haven't decided what their dreams are or what they want to go after in life.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll hear people like, oh, I don't have time for this, and I don't have to, well, I wish I could be doing that, but I don't have time for this. Like, you have to realize how many no's you have to start saying when you're a creative, especially when you're an entrepreneur or when you have specific dreams for your life. Like, you're going to have to say yes to certain experiments, but you're going to have to say no to a ton of things. And, you just have to start getting comfortable doing that, because the more often that you say no, the bigger your yeses actually become. So if anytime anybody calls you or wants to stop by, or anytime your phone rings, if you automatically answer it, if you're automatically in a position where
you're a slave to,
yeah,
I just felt like slavery,
yeah.
Not in like an oppressive sort of way, but like you're under their leash. They are controlling your schedule.
You've got, this is such a big deal. Like you have to come to a part where, this is when we were first discovering this kind of stuff. Was if you've been following us for a while, you notice that we do a lot of 7 or above, where we rate a lot of things. So the idea is, if it's not a 7, or if it's not a hell yes, if someone says, hey, do you want to do this? And that feeling inside comes out where it's like, oh my gosh, I would love to. We don't do it.
Yeah, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. So use your body as a tool to help you decide what it is you want to commit to. Tune into your body and ask the question, do I want to do this? How will I feel if I say yes to this? And if your body sends you all this energy of like, ugh, I don't want to do that, that just sounds like obligation, or I'm not interested, then listen to your body and allow yourself to say no and to commit to that truth that you really mean. I find that so many times people are saying yes when they mean no, and they're saying no when they mean yes. And verbally we understand the words you're saying, but energetically we know that you mean something different. So this is about having confidence in your own worth to be able to say no. Successful people have learned to say no.
Yeah, the clients that we work with the most, the people who become the most successful in whatever they're doing, it's not just about wealth and money and stuff like that, but just in really going after their passions, really pursuing what lights them up. The biggest thing that they're doing, the biggest difference that they're doing between the other people is saying no to, a ton of things. And it's really uncomfortable at first. You get that weird guilty feeling, but if your dreams are big enough, or if your passions are big enough, you won't feel that guilty feeling as much, because you're pursuing so much about what you're interested in and bringing other people along for the ride.
Yeah, guilt just stops you from enjoying the choice that you make. So make your choices from a place of empowerment, one that is in alignment with what you really want, and it'll be easier to say yes or to say no to the things that you want. And here, I'm going to give an example. So we've talked about saying no. We've talked about why it's important to say no so that you have time to pursue your dreams and your passion. I'm going to give an example because I've been a hairdresser for over a decade, and I get approached all the time from Rodan and Fields, Lipson's, Beachbody, Monat, whatever the heck, all of these multi-level marketing companies. Now, I have nothing against multi-level marketing companies, but it's not my dream. It's not my passion, and it's not the direction I'm heading in my life. I think it's great for other people if that's your journey, but I've learned to say no without feeling guilty or without feeling like I'm hurting other people's feelings, knowing that this is my purpose and my path, and that's not a part of it. And so I've had to learn how to say no to all these opportunities that I feel like sometimes people can get like glamorized and be like, oh, but it's a money opportunity. I can make millions. Oh my gosh, and get a pink car. But that's not what I'm here for. That's not what lights me up. And so I've had to learn to say no, guilt-free, to people that are following their dreams and knowing that it's right for them, but it's not right for me.
Yeah, and so we're going to give you a little bit of formula for how to actually say no. Again, we said no.
We'll even teach you how to say no in another language.
Yeah, right. All right, so the big deal on saying no, again, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to create an excuse. You don't have to say, oh, you don't have to come up with any kind of a reason. No is fine. So start there, but to really jazz it up, what I like to do is to thank the person to start with. Say, hey,
thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, I really appreciate you considering me. I'm super overcommitted. I've got a lot of projects on the back burner that I'm working on, really burning the midnight oil. So I'm not going to be able to help you. I'd love to collaborate in the future if that's something that you want to do. If you really
want to. Don't open the door if you're really not interested from the beginning, because then you're going to have to deal with that again in the future. It's going to feel even more weird and icky the second time because you're like, oh, I have to get out of this again? You know
yeah, because the deal is when you're doing stuff with people, you want to be able to give them 110%. You want to be able to show up at your best. And you only do that when you're excited to do something. Like if you come and ask, say, hey, you want to do this? And we say yes, but we don't really like it. We're going to show up with almost a little bit of a resentment because I could be doing other cool things during that time.
That's how the 7 or above game that we created was born, because we recognized that we said yes to a certain commitment. And on the drive there, the whole time we're like, but how long is it going to be? Like, why are we going? When are we going to be back? So we can go do these things that we want to do. And that was the day we decided to stop saying yes to things that we didn't want to do. And it takes practice, because especially if you've been a people pleaser your whole life, saying yes to things that you don't want, it's going to be weird and uncomfortable, but just get over it, because it's so worth it, and it reclaims your power and it reclaims your self-worth and confidence. So if you're worried about what other people will think about you, the more you say no, the less shits you'll give.
Yeah, it's super weird, because what I notice is that the more often that we said no to things, the more people start to value us. They stop asking us to do stuff that they know we wouldn't do ever. And so it's like, people find other people who say yes, and then they ask them to do literally everything, And when people know that you'll constantly say yes, they'll put you in a position, because they're like, oh, well, this person will do it for me. I'll just have them do it. But when you start saying no, a lot of those things that were sort of time wasters and all those time vampires that you attract in your life, they start falling off, and you have so much more time to focus on the things that are super, super important to you.
Yeah, this reminds me of something my mom has taught me. You teach others how to treat you. And by saying no, you are definitely teaching people what you will and will put up with. So I think it's important to recognize who you're giving your power away to, because ultimately it was your decision, whether you claim it or you give it away.
Yeah, so the formula again is thank the person, and then give them your reason, or give them your answer, yes or no, and then just change the subject, move on. Yeah. And this can come up too, like when people call you. A lot of times I don't answer my phone at all. And so the times that I do answer my phone, if I'm in the middle of something, like if it's a really important person that calls me, I answer the phone. I don't say, hey, what's going on? That's a 30-minute conversation. I answer the phone and I say, hey, I'm right in the middle of something. Is there anything that you need that I can help you with? That's a 1-minute conversation. That changes everything. So when I'm deep into doing something, when I'm working on a project for a client or whatever it is that I'm doing, it's like I can really narrow down and make sure that I'm focused on the tasks that really matter to me, so that I can help the most people in the world. And like doing that, again, it really realigns your self-confidence. It lets people know what's important to you. It also lets them know that you're working on stuff. They're like, oh, I want to catch back up with what you're working on. Tell me about that later. Now you have more people who are going to buy your stuff or be a client with you or whatever. And, doing it from that kind of perspective really helps you figure out what is most important, so you can continuously focus on your priorities. That way you're not going through a year from now or 5 years from now and being like, man, I had all these things that I wanted to do, but somehow I didn't have enough time to do them. And a lot of times it's because you're overcommitting yourself to stuff that doesn't really matter. Yeah, and you don't make your goals a priority. And I think, I didn't know that this would come up during this conversation, but I feel like writing down your goals, we've talked about this before, you're 42% more likely to achieve something you've written down. It allows you to stay focused on the task at hand. And if you're being bombarded by all these external commitments and obligations and people that are trying to grab for your attention, then if you don't have it written down, then you get easily pulled away if you're not disciplined and, focused on what it is you're achieving. So if you have a list of the things that you need to do for the day, it's so much easier for you to say no to the other things because you have your list that reminds you, this is what I need to focus on for me today. Yeah, and also, that's a really good point. Whenever I'm making any kind of a to-do list, another thing that I like to write down is... You're so warm. Am I? Yeah. Well, one of the things I like to do is I like to write a thing that I'm not going to be doing. So, you make the to-do list, but a not to-do list. So I'm not going to answer my phone. I'm not going to check Facebook, whatever those sort of time drainers are for you. Mm-hmm. So that way, again, you can focus on the really important stuff. Yeah. Go ahead. No, I was just going to say hello to Cynthia, Meredith, everyone who's joined us live saying hello. Let me know if you're here. Give a little shout out in the comments. We love hearing from you guys. Yeah, and a couple more things. If you're a super people pleaser, there's going to be 2 books I'm going to leave you here with. And these are going to be mandatory. Like the second that I get a client that's a people pleaser, I direct them to these 2 books, and they work wonders. So the first book is called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And the second book is called Radical Honesty. If you check out those 2 books, they'll really get you out of that mode of constantly saying yes to all these things and more into saying no. But again, if you say yes to everything, it's not really a yes. When you say no to things, you can actually give the yes statement. And people, again, value your time, value your presence, and it changes the dynamic that you have when you're not just constantly, yeah, I'll do it, yeah, I'll do it, yeah, I'd love to. And inside you're going, well, crap, I can never do all the stuff that I want to do for myself. Because self-care is massively important. Yeah, when you say no to others, you're actually saying yes to you. And honestly, I feel like that is the best thing you can do for yourself, especially talking about self-care. Is just like I've mentioned before, my mom's stroke was because she was giving to everyone else. She couldn't say no to anybody because that's her heart. She wants to give and she wants to share. But to be honest, you have to say no so that you have time for you. And if you have a goal that you're going after, you definitely need to say no a lot of times so that you can stay focused and committed to that thing that you're after. Rachel says, I need to learn this with my husband. Absolutely. This is important in relationships and business partnerships, just in general with anyone, but especially with your partner. Your partner is the one that you've signed up to enjoy this entire life with. So if you have problems saying no to your husband, the one that you love and trust the most, the one that sees you naked, then how are you ever going to say no to anyone else? Yeah, it's important to start practicing this everywhere. If you have kids, you're going to have to say no to them. If you I could see a lot of guilt coming up for moms saying no to their children, but you've got to. You have to say no when it is the right choice. Don't say yes out of obligation. It's going to make it worse. And I'm sure you've experienced that. Yeah, I mean, and this can be anything. For us, we stopped having as many Thanksgiving meals with our family, and we started making Thanksgiving meals on our own. And this was a really big decision, and the family's like, I don't understand, what are you doing? And it was just because it was something that we wanted to do. We wanted to make a full-on meal thing ourselves and cook, because for us, cooking is a really intimate experience, and to have, this Thanksgiving, not that we don't appreciate our families, not that we don't love spending time with them, it was just something that we wanted to do. So it was weird in the beginning, but it's just because it was a holiday. Yeah, but you just, you just have to do it. You have to go after what it is that you're super searching for, or what really lights you up, and keep pushing forward with that. And no matter what anybody says, it's not important, because no one else is living your life. It's just you. And so in the end, you're all that you've got. Again, love family, love being with people, love seeing friends and stuff, but you just have to say no a lot of times. Yeah.
I want to know from you guys that are here live, where do you struggle with saying no? Do you find yourself saying yes to commitments that you don't really want to be a part of? Or how does this situation apply in your lifestyle? Now, Rachel shared that it's hard to say no to her husband, and Nicole says it's really hard for me to allow myself to make time for me because I make myself busy with mom stuff for my son.
Yeah.
Cynthia says work. So no matter what area you're having difficulty saying no in, I think it's important to pay attention to where that is, where you're draining your power, and know that you're not being a bad mom for saying no and taking time for yourself. You're actually being a great mom, and you're going to show up to the partnership more fulfilled, and your cup will be filled. Literally, fulfilled is the perfect word. I can't think of anything else. Like, you have to fill your cup so that you can pour into your children.
Yeah, I mean, just think about this. Just for the example of exercising. A lot of people are like, well, I don't have time to do that.
Oh, I got this one yesterday. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time. I said, oh, you mean it's not a priority? And she said, yeah, you're right, but it's what I really want.
Yeah, so whenever you find yourself saying, I don't have time for something, you've got to look at what you're non-verbally committing to, or what you're committing to with other people. Because if you don't exercise your body, this is something that's super, super important. You're not going to feel as good. The endorphins aren't going to pour out. You're not going to have stretch. You're not going to express energy that's been dormant inside you. And so when you go to the next person or the job or with your kids, you're not fully showing up because your body is not in, we're just using exercise as an example. This could be anything. Your body is not in a state where you can give everything, so you're not sleeping as good, and you're constantly going to be in that mode where your body's going, hey man, I really need your attention, I need you to show up here and be part of this, and you're going, well, I haven't had time for you, and that won't cut it. Like, you've got to show up for you first, and then you can give to everybody else. If you do it the opposite way, you slowly deplete all of your energy, and then you have nothing to give.
Yeah.
Not just to other people, but you can't give it to yourself either. So start with you.
Yeah.
That's what saying no does, is empowers you to start with the things that are most needed for you. Yeah.
When you're riding in the airplane, they say put your oxygen mask on first before you put it on your child. So if that's not the biggest hint that you can't serve your children if you're not serving yourself, no one's going to do it for you. Your children aren't going to do it for you. Your mamas aren't going to do it for you. It's up to you. So know that by putting yourself first, you're actually doing a huge service to the world, because you're not walking around with an empty cup begging for it to be filled. You're taking responsibility and empowering yourself to give yourself the love, attention, and the care that you need so that you can put that out into the world.
Yeah, and also be okay with other people saying no to you. It's not a personal thing. This is not a personal attack on people. When you say no to somebody, you're not attacking them. You're not going, you suck, I don't ever want to do anything with you. It's not that. It's just going in and saying, hey, like, look, my priorities are just in a certain place right now, or I'm really overcommitted to this right now. And when you start doing that, it's okay for other people to say no to you too. You'll find other people just like they'll find other people to help them out.
I just want to take a moment to say hello to everyone who's joining. Maeve and Jessica, it's so good to see you here. Actually, I want to share something with you, Maeve. We were walking in the park yesterday, and we came across a girl that we've said hello to many times, and she said, hey, I've been following your emails and stuff, and my friend Maeve, we work in she used to be a doula, and she works with yoga. So anyway, her name is Mimi, if you know who I'm talking about. But it was so crazy to just be walking in the park and come across a woman who knows someone that's a part of my Shine Tribe or in my friend circle. So it's amazing, also a great reminder that your message and what you do and put out into the world is seen by so many people you don't even realize it, and we're all connected. So just keep putting greatness out into the world. Yeah. Jamie says, Jamie was on yours, now she's on mine. Jamie, I just am getting to your comment. I always feel like I'm staying too much in my comfort zone and not being creative enough. I always say the magic happens outside of your comfort zone, because inside your comfort zone, you're familiar. You already know what's going on. You already know what can happen. But outside of your comfort zone, you stretch and you grow and you learn new things. And if you're wanting to be more creative, then definitely taking a step outside your comfort zone will open you up to get creative. because you'll run into a situation where you need to come up with a creative solution, where when you're navigating the unknown and you have no idea, it's not your comfort zone, you're like, I don't know. You have to get creative in the actions that you take, or the way that you feel, or just in the way that you experience it.
Yeah, and talking about coming out of the comfort zone, getting outside your comfort zone and being approached with new opportunities and stuff like that. We only worry about the comfort zone when we're stuck inside it. Once you get out, you can't have thoughts about it because you don't know what's happening. So you get more intuitive nudges. That's why you go outside of it, is because your
mind isn't directing you, your heart is leading you.
Yeah, you're not on auto response. Inside the comfort zone, it's auto response. You figured out how to do it, just like when you take a shower, you figured out how that works. You wash your body in the same way every single time. But when you get out of that, you have to actually come up with new ideas and new thoughts and new actions. And so this gives you an opportunity to really be in that meditative state where you're so in the present moment that the answers just come. Yeah. And so being outside that comfort zone is not as scary as we think it is. It's only scary because our mind's not prepared for it yet. And you don't need to prepare the mind. You already know internally and intuitively exactly what to do in every moment. Like, you just have to be in that situation more often than not so you can get used to doing it. We're joined by Sweet Noodles.
Mr. Noodles has made his debut for today's Elevated Life series. So if you have any questions around this topic, how to say no, or things that you're struggling with in particular about owning your power and actually taking time to take care of yourself, because that's really what this is all about. It's all about giving that love to yourself so that you can show up into the world and give it when called for. Jamie says, slowly discovering I need to lead projects. No more collaborations. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Anne says, my husband and I have just had a conversation about comfort zones, and Cynthia says, why is it so hard getting out of your comfort zone? Because it's comfortable.
Yeah. This is
it's like, why is it hard to get out of bed in the morning when it's cold and you're cozy under the blanket? Because it's comfortable. But if you don't get up to seize the day, then you'll miss all the wonderful opportunities and experiences that lie ahead.
Yeah, this is something that just takes practice. And it takes you doing it repeatedly, and eventually your comfort zone will expand so far that the uncomfortable portions become your comfort zone. You're just okay no matter where you go and what ends up happening.
Yeah, one of the lessons in Shine School that's about to launch next month is all about getting comfy in the uncomfy. And one of the worksheets I actually have you fill out, I made a circle where you write all of the stuff that's inside your comfort zone, and then I have you write on the outside of the circle the things that you're wanting to go after that are outside of your comfort zone, the things that scare you, that push you forward. And I very, very strongly encourage you to get your ass outside the circle because, like I said, magic happens in the unknown. If you already know it all and you're already comfortable, then it's not going to change. And change is what brings growth. Change is what brings that transformation that we're all moving through right now. So
yeah, a lot of people think that insight leads to change, and that's not true. It's actually always change that's going to lead to insight. And so if you're outside this comfort zone constantly, you're forced to make new decisions, which means you're forced to think in new ways and take on new behaviors. So that means things automatically will change. If you have new thoughts, things change. Yeah. And so once you get out there and you're forced to do it, and you're constantly doing that, you're in the state of learning and you're in the state of evolving. And that's kind of like that place that you always want to be in, because you won't ever feel like life and death won't be such a big deal because you're not staying stagnant. There's a pond by us, and the days where the pond's really nice, the water's moving. Mm-hmm. The second that water gets stagnant and it's just staying there, it gets disgusting. It gets
bacteria, mold, and all of that. And it's the same is true for us as humans. Now, we might not develop mold if we sit inside of our comfort zone for too long, but our beliefs get crusty. You know what I'm saying?
So get out there and get challenged. Say no to people that you need to say no to. Say yes to things that you want to say yes to. Check out the 7 or above. Definitely just see if you can qualify some more things that way. Just see because this will allow you to say what is important to me and how do I feel about the different things that I'm doing in my life.
Yeah, like we said, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. So go out there and seize the things that you want to experience, because those things are going to help you grow in the direction that you want to experience. The most important questions I ask when I'm working one-on-one with someone is, how do you want to grow and what do you want to experience? And I found that by asking those questions, which most people aren't asking themselves that, they actually start to build this idea of, oh, you know what would be really cool if I was able to do this, or if I learned how to do this. And you'll find that it's probably not that hard, and it's attainable for you if you just decide what it is you want to experience and how you want to grow.
Boom.
What a good one.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on The Elevated Life, where we teach you these mindset shifts to be able to live a life that you love and to raise your energy so that you're constantly empowered from the inside to be able to navigate through this wild world. So thank you so much for joining us here live on the Elevated Life series every Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And as we've shared with you before, we are working on our membership club so that we can dive into these topics even deeper. You guys can have live access to us. We'll be providing guided meditations and all kinds of extra resources to help you actually move through these topics that we're talking about and really grasp and understand them. So with that being said, with the membership on its way to you, I want to know, what topics would you like us to cover in the Elevated Life series? And we'll be happy to dive deep into those things so that we can help you empower yourself to move towards your dreams or to move out of that comfort zone that has, it's just not comfortable anymore. You get uncomfortable in the comfort zone because it just gets boring. So how can we help you to move forward and get outside your comfort zone? Leave the topics you'd like us to cover in the comments below, and we'll see you guys next week at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for the Elevated Life series. Thank you for joining us. Have a beautiful weekend, and happy Father's Day to every father out there. That there's a difference between a dad and a father, I guess. So happy Dad's Day, right? Just because you've birthed a child doesn't mean you show up and you give your love to them. So I want to just say thank you to the men that stick around and show love and commit and make it happen. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Woo!
Love you guys.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Bye!